Here to do a little quick video on Marcion. Who is Marcion? What did he do? And why is he important? But before we get into that, I want to go ahead and hit the subscription button. We're going to be putting out a lot more videos like this, just cool little history videos telling you where things come from and how they all piece together. You ever look at the world and you're really confused? Like, why are things the way they are? Well, we're going to try to tackle that. So first thing, we're going to do one on Marcion. So who is Marcion? So Marcion is considered a heretic from around 140 AD to 144 AD. He moved to Rome and he had a lot of wealth. His father was a merchant who owned many shipping vessels and fishing vessels. And so when he died, Marcion got all this money and he moved to Rome and he started propagandizing everyone and trying to push his narrative of this new doctrine. His doctrine, what is his doctrinal beliefs? So Marcion is credited with the very first canon of the New Testament. He took out the Old Testament. He did include Psalms so that people could sing and praise. He took Luke and he edited Luke. He changed it to what he wanted it to say. He also included many of Paul's letters, but not all of them. And some of the Paul's letters that he did include, he actually edited. And so he did not keep Matthew, he didn't keep Mark, and he didn't keep John. He also did not keep James and Revelations. What are some of the doctrinal beliefs of Marcion? Well, Marcion, he believed that the Old Testament was done away with. And so he was actually the very first person to coin the term Old and New Testament. That comes from Marcion. So the reason why it's in our Bible, that's an old leftover thing from Marcion. He preached that the law was done away with and that it was no longer important. He believed in a demiurge, which was like, he believed in two gods. He believed in an Old Testament God that was oppressive and mean and killing and evil. And then that there was a second God who was what we see in the New Testament. And that God was the God that sent Jesus from heaven. He also believed and focused on Paul. Any type of discussion, it was always Paul. Anywhere Paul contradicted with Jesus, Paul took superiority over it. So I've had this conversation with many people where I'm talking to them and I'm quoting Jesus and they just keep running to Paul and say, but Paul says this, but Paul says this. It's like, which one are you going to follow? Which one is more important? Do you want to follow Paul or do you want to follow Jesus? Because some of Paul's stuff is a little confusing and you could twist it to be anti or against some of the things that Jesus has said. Well, Marcion, he seized on this and said, Paul takes superiority. Paul cancels out anything that Jesus says. And that's one of the reasons why they really treated him like a heretic in the time of 144 AD. Another one of the things is that he pushed is he said that people that did try to follow the law, that they were doing it to try to earn salvation. And so that's not the case. If you ask people why they follow the law, they'll just say, well, because God told me to. Or written in the scriptures that you're supposed to follow him. But anyways, another one of the things that Marcion believed is that the 12 disciples were bumbling idiots and that they didn't know anything. And so if some of these are starting to sound familiar, you're starting to catch on. Many of the things that are in modern Christianity are actually leftover bits from Marcion. Marcionism died out around 800 AD, but it didn't really die out. It actually just went underground and started to assimilate into other sects of Christianity and slowly started to get its tentacles into the doctrinal beliefs of Christianity. And if you go to seminary school, you're probably going to learn Marcion, and you're not even going to be told that you're learning Marcion. It's just that people have adopted those ideologies and they've come back. But they do stand at odds with what the scriptures say. So that is Marcion. Hope y'all enjoyed this.